Okay, wonderful. So thank you all again. We are just going to spend about half an hour or so talking about this year's Apple Training Institute, what to expect from it, how to be successful, how to build your team, and sort of, especially since most of you are the team contacts, sort of what sort of your role is sort of in the follow-up after Apple. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to start off with a Zoom poll just to kind of see who's here. And I'm going to launch that now real quick. And it's really just, what's your experience with Apple? Are you the rookie who's never attended a transfer? You went at a different institution, or have you attended Apple before and at your current school? So just to see who is in the room. So far, I'll share this when we've got everybody's in, but it looks like mostly folks who are new. So we're excited. We always love having the new schools as well as our returners. So looks like everybody's in, and here's what we've got. So we don't have anybody who has attended with a different institution. So that also can be kind of a fun, you're still sort of the expert, but great. Thanks so much for that. And as I mentioned, we are the Gordy Center at the University of Virginia. So we created the Apple model, and then we've been funded since 1991 from the NCAA, and specifically we're affiliated with the Sports Science Institute. So that is where our grant comes from. And then we have a number of educational partners. So again, those of you that have been at Apple are very familiar with our colleagues at Drug Free Sport and the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, who produce the My Playbook online alcohol education program. So you will see them at the Training Institute, and they always help us with our educational content. I'm not going to read all this to you, but just to kind of give you a sense, especially since about 2/3 of you are new, this is 30 years that we've been having the Apple Training Institutes. The model that we'll share was really brand new. There wasn't a way of looking at substance misuse prevention unique to the athletics culture before. Our predecessors created it. And we've been doing these conferences until the pause after 2020, every year since 1992. For those of you that might be Division II schools, we also have D2 only Apple Training Institutes. So starting in 2015, our last one was this past September 2021, sorry, a year and a half ago, and we do those about every 18 months. And we call it the Apple Training Institute. We moved from the conference really to more clearly show what we are. Most people think of a conference where you go, you see some sessions, you maybe get some ideas, but it's kind of, maybe a couple keynotes, and then you kind of just, look at different things, but there's not a lot afterwards. We really are different. If you've come to Apple before, our keynotes are kind of our core classes. So there's going to be some tweaks to those, but it's the same core concepts because it's the Apple model, it's alcohol, cannabis, and athletic performance. And then really we have kind of our electives, which are our breakout sessions on Saturday afternoon. So it really reflects, because we don't want people to come once, come the next year and go, oh, somehow it was the same, because it really is a curriculum. So we're excited to that. And some of you may have attended. We had our first virtual Apple in 2022, last May, to kind of keep momentum going, especially for schools that had attended before. And if you're not aware, the NCAA grant covers 90% of the cost of attendance. So we're very excited, and always much gratitude to the NCAA for funding this for 30 years. So I mentioned the Apple model. We really looked at, so the folks who created this were Dr. Joe Geek, who is still my co-director, as well as the late Dr. Susan Grossman, who really looked at where are the areas where we can impact substance misuse among our student athletes. And so it really is these 7 different areas, each of which has guiding principles, or sort of like what is the absolute ideal program to look at how you're doing your recruitment, really around substance misuse prevention. So we've had a number of revisions. We've had team contacts, folks who had been part of Apple for many years, help us look at that whenever we did those revisions. The last one was summer of 2020. That's how we spent the time not planning an Apple Training Institute in 2021. And you'll note, those of you that have come before, we've changed the number 6 is now accountability. So we really recognized that it's not, discipline or sanctioning. It really should be the accountability was sort of a better term for that. So what is it that Apple will do? Why are you coming to Apple this year? Here's kind of overall what you will learn and what your student athletes and your colleagues are going to learn. There's a lot of education. There's less, we try to make it really interactive and interesting. So your team is really going to be empowered to take what you've learned, both the model and the content, and figure out what is going to work on my campus. What is it that our students are excited about? What's a need? So that you can actually create an action plan. You're going to network with all the other schools there, as well as our great presenters. And then over the course of the next year, our staff, Anthony and I, are going to be kind of your coaches. How can we help you overcome roadblocks? I'm not going to read through all of these, but these are the learning outcomes that we measure. We know that from before the pre-test, right before Apple, and the post-test right afterwards, we know we see positive changes in every one of these areas. And I highlight the last one, that you will be creating that measurable action plan. You'll see I highlighted it again. We want to make sure folks know when you leave, part of your job at Apple is to create an action plan. We've actually been tweaking the way we assist you with that. So we feel like we're continually making this easier for you to create a good plan that you can implement and be successful in. And you'll be submitting that before you leave Sunday morning. So we will be walking you through that whole process while you're in Charlottesville. So what do you need to do now before March 17th? So first of all of you have received an email from Anthony with a link to individual team registration. We do need that by January 31st because we need to get all that information to the hotel in time for them. Hopefully you've all seen this, but just as to reiterate, to attend Apple, you must have at least 4 team members, and you can have up to 6. That's paid for through our grant. You do not have to pay for hotel rooms. That is covered by the NCAA grant. At least 2 of your team members must be student athletes. And again, since we're so late in the spring semester, they must have eligibility next year. If you've got folks that are graduating, done with eligibility, they're not really going to help you see your action plan through next year. And 1 member must be a full-time employee. So as much as we love our grad assistants and they can be great teammates, we don't want to see a team contact who's just a half-time GA. Think beyond athletics. It's great to have, like your FAR, your faculty athletics rep, any health educators, counselors. We've had deans of students attend. So think really broadly about who's engaged in athletics or wants to be engaged in athletics and who can help you be successful. And really look at the overall makeup of your team. Are you having a variety of folks on your team? And so look at, gender, look at ethnicity. Are different teams represented? Don't have like your 4 student athletes all be on the football team. Sometimes that can work, but, really see different voices and different perspectives because that will help you create a really good action plan. So another quick Zoom poll, which is, how many people do you think right now, I'm not going to hold you to this, but how many team members do you plan on bringing? Because that just helps us a little bit in our planning. I know you've got several weeks still. But we're just trying to get a sense because we are hoping, as we often do, that maybe we can have when we hit our target number, that we might be able to have 1 or 2 more schools if we start getting a waiting list, because we actually are full. But if we do get another school or 2 and we can make that work, we try to get as many schools to attend as possible. So it looks like folks are right now, it looks like about almost equal between 4 or 5 or 6 team members. So just to share that with y'all, that's about where we are. So that's really helpful to us. And again, we will be reaching out, and this will be uploaded into your portal so that you'll get that information. You can always reach out to us through Apple Athletics at virginia.edu. If you're like, hey, has this person registered? We can check in. And then Anthony will be reaching out if you've only got 4 team members, just to make sure, is that everybody? Are you set? So thanks for filling that out. So we've encouraged for many years that all of your team complete some homework. It's pretty low risk. We just ask you, each person who's part of your team, reach out to 5 different people. That could be teammates, it could be other administrators, it could be coaches, whoever. But just ask them one simple question. What do they think are the biggest issues about alcohol and other drugs in the athletic department? So it might be people are afraid if they get caught, that they're going to get in trouble. Maybe you have a 3 strikes and you're out. Maybe it's people are using cannabis and don't see any risk. It's really this is really just homework that will help inform your discussions at Apple. So it kind of expands it beyond just the 4 to 6 people that are sitting there wrestling with these issues, that you can get broader perspective. So we really encourage you to do that. So here's the big thing that will take a lot of time. And I just checked, I think we've had 1 school who has submitted so far. The Apple Athletics baseline assessment. I know this is long. It is going to take like 45 minutes. But it really is the core of the Apple Training Institute. This is just for you. You've got the link through that same email that Anthony sent you. We sent you a PDF just so you could see, wow, no one person is going to know all the answers. So we send that to you so you can share it. But please don't fill out the hard copy or fill it out electronically on the form and send that to us, because we're gonna ask you to fill it out online, because it's all automated on the back end when we score it. So the idea behind this is it will help you see how well your athletics department is meeting each of those 7 guiding principles. As I mentioned, it's probably going to take you about 45 minutes. So the more you can do in advance to look at the questions, the better. It'll help you be a lot more efficient with your time. Now, the good news is there is 1 submission per campus. You don't have to have multiple people fill this out. So really, as a team contact, this is your role. A lot of times it's figuring out, if that's not your role in your department, like who really knows compliance stuff. So who could tell you when policies were set, who was involved, who's monitoring. That kind of information will really help you answer a lot of these questions. You'll see there's a lot of repetition about the type of policies and when those were last revised. So there's probably 1 person who has all of that information. There's other that's like, how are you evaluating it? How are you communicating it with different groups? So that will be helpful to check in with maybe folks within education. Maybe that's your academic affairs group, but really look through that. And we've got in that confirmation email from Anthony some hints on how to complete it, just to look beforehand. You will get personalized feedback. You'll get a score, kind of a score for each of those areas. That's confidential, and I'll share it with the NCAA. They only see, of all the schools that came, here's kind of how they ranked in these different areas. And it's team contacts have found this to be really, really helpful to begin those discussions in your team meetings that'll happen on Saturday morning. So we'll get that to you in advance. You can share that with your team. You'll get a PDF both of how you answered the survey and also your scores and a little information on, why you had a lower score, maybe why you had a higher score. And then we're also using an Apple app. So those of you that came in 2020, that was our launch of the Apple app. We also used it at the D2 and even with our virtual one. So this is just sort of a heads up. We really want everyone to be using the app. We will send the link probably about 2 weeks before Apple. So somewhere around March 1st, you'll get a personal email that will allow you to download the app and get all the information. We're continuing to make things as electronic as possible. So the PDFs from our presentations will be there. As you can see, there'll be links to like the pretest, a link to the action plan, all the evaluation, but you'll also be able to meet other attendees. For our speakers, you'll be able to reach out to them if you're like, hey, I'd love to set up some time during lunch. Can I talk with you? There's a lot of really nice things about the app. And we will have the facilitation guide as an editable PDF. That was feedback we got from past team contacts. So we're excited that that'll be there too. So that's just keep in mind. You'll get those emails. They'll actually go out to everyone who's registered once we have all those emails. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Anthony.
All right. So continuing, this is kind of the piece where we lean on a lot of our participants in schools that have returned, or if you haven't returned, this is kind of the opportunity for you to engage and be a part of the curriculum that we are offering. So what we look at is if you're returning school, which we prefer, do you have a program or a policy that you guys have implemented, whether it be previous action plans that you guys were able to successfully do, or if it's something you currently have going on at your school that you can share with others that may be first time or other schools that are struggling. If you do, this is that moment, like I mentioned, that we would like to hear from you. So we're asking people to reach out to us and offer your services to present at the Apple. So they're about 30-minute presentations, and it's just for you to cover that, say, hey, here's what we're doing at our campuses. Here's the success, here are the struggles, here's what we worked at. It's just an opportunity for us as a community to help each other as each school goes out and develops their own action plans and take. If you are interested, we ask that you don't have to have everything in stone and written and ready to go right now, but you can just send us an email by saying like, hey, yes, we are interested. And we will get you the paperwork to submit the formal documentation to, so we can have the learning objectives. We can include that on our websites and all that other proper stuff. That final deadline, if you are interested in this, we ask that you reach out to us no later than February 3rd. It's obviously going to be first come, first serve, because we're going to start plugging and chugging. So if you wait till after February 3rd, we may or may not have spaces if you are actually interested in presenting for us. Now we get to talk about the accommodations, the lovely accommodations we're going to be offering everyone. This year, as you guys are aware, it is going to be in Charlottesville. Dates and all that are there, March 17th to the 19th. You're going to be staying at the DoubleTree in Charlottesville. It's only a few miles, 4 miles to be exact, from the airport. So it's not like you guys are going to have, if you guys are flying into Charlottesville, it is an easy commute. If you guys are driving, very different. If you guys are going into, that'd be pretty much it. So for that one. You want to go to the next slide? Some of the accommodations, a big question we've been getting asked is the room occupancy. So this year, we are just being cautious of everything, and everyone's getting their own rooms. We are not back to double rooms or anything like that. So if you have school admin or others asking you guys about that, it is single rooms, and you do not have to pay extra for these single rooms. I know if you're returning school in past, it was different. If you wanted your own room, that was on you guys to pay an additional fee, but it's not that. Some of the other accommodations that we do have is there is a workout facility. It's right there. It's very small, right next to the pool. So if your student athletes want to be able to work out, or if you'd like to join them for a workout, we can obviously schedule something there for you guys. It's not the biggest, but it is something. There is a hot tub and a pool. So, if you want to let students know, or whoever else will be on your team, that there is that option. So on their downtime or free time, they can dip their toes in and go for a swim. There is free internet, so you'll have access to that. We do ask that each person that's going to be for each room, we'll say there needs to be a credit card on file. So how each team chooses to do that will leave up to you guys. You can either have as a team contact your credit card on file for every individual if the student athlete doesn't have their own credit card, or if the student athlete does have it, or whoever else is on the team has their own credit cards and would like to put it on file. There does need to be a credit card on file. That's kind of the big thing we must drive home on that one. And we take care of all hotel accommodations. So anything you might need or want to know about the hotel, just reach out to us. If we do need to make some accommodations, we'll directly reach out to the hotel and do that for you. There will be no need for you guys to call them and try to go back and forth with them. We work with them on a regular, so they're pretty good with us and pretty expedient. The meals, we are providing meals from Friday evening when you guys get in after check-ins, and it'll be all the way till Sunday breakfast. All of our meals are going to be buffet style, and we are offering hot breakfasts. So that is something that's not just a continental, here's your cereal and banana. They'll have some hot eggs, hopefully some bacon, and all some other types of good stuff. It is breakfast style or buffet style, so it's going to be good. If you guys make sure when you guys are having people fill out their individual registrations, that if they do need any other type of accommodations, that we have a list of questions on there. So make sure they go ahead and fill that out so we can make those and make sure that we have everyone covered. For the event, it's pretty casual, so they don't need to be in a three-piece suit or long formal gowns and dresses, anything. It's just pretty casual. Khaki and jeans are appropriate. We do encourage everyone to represent the university or college of their choice. Ideally, most people will be wearing their university, but it is also going to be March Madness. So if people want to cheer on their favorite team, they're more than welcome to do that as well. Like I mentioned earlier, they're more than welcome to pack a swimsuit and workout attires on their free time. It has been told to me that it will notoriously be a team that decides to have a team meeting in or around the pool. So make sure everyone comes prepared for that unless they're comfortable doing it in jeans. As far as material, we do encourage at least one person on the team to bring a laptop because of the Wi-Fi and the way we are asking you guys to submit your action plans. Computer is needed. So at least one person on the team, doesn't matter who, it could be used a team contact, or if you want to designate someone else. Most, I imagine, will bring some type of communication, but a laptop will be beneficial for this throughout the trainings too. All right, so once you get to Apple, question is now what, right? As we mentioned earlier, the whole Apple Institute is based on our core principles, and throughout the weekend, we are going to be just doing that and kind of diving into each one of these. So with Friday, you'll check in, we'll have dinner, we will have an initial meeting. We start our first at 4. They will mention that on another slide, but outside of that, this is kind of what we dive into on Saturday. This is going to be the main component of what we're doing. We'll be covering these topics as we mentioned before: alcohol impact on performance, nutrition, drug testing, hazing, mental health, cannabis, and much more, right? So on top of this, will be those of you that choose to present. Those are going to be kind of the fill-in, the other material that we get to offer towards you guys that will help you guys all kind of start thinking about what you want to do at your schools and how you guys can make an impact back home. When you arrive, as I mentioned, our check-ins is going to be between 1:30 and 4 on Friday. Each team member must check in with us. Okay, we do have a bunch of things we're giving to them, so we do ask everyone to come check in. On the initial check-in, there is going to be a quick pre-test that you'll have to fill out, and then we'll give you guys the Apple swag. We'll have our t-shirts and bags and fun little goodie things to give you guys. If there's going to be any type of travel issues, you'll come the day of. If your flight's delayed or you're traveling, you're driving in, the roads are bad, just communicate with us as much as possible ahead of time. We'd like to just stay on board so we know you guys are still coming and you guys didn't just miss out. And if you're driving, we'd like to make sure you guys get there safely so we can kind of keep track of that as well. So it's just try to do your best to communicate with us. We know a lot can happen. Friday, as I mentioned, our first session starts at 4. Dinner will be at 5. Send us an email if you have any travel delays, like I mentioned. Our focus for that evening will be the foundation of the Apple model, understanding the impacts of alcohol, as well as effective ways to kind of reach students and get people involved and get people on board to your goal. Saturday morning, we jump into the Apple models and its application. This is also an opportunity where your teams will start to meet with each other and kind of assess your needs. And that's really where your guys' department assessment is going to be beneficial, right? And you guys are going to be able to hopefully help lead these conversations with your guys' teams on what direction they want to go. They may not be familiar with all the policies, and you having completed that assessment is going to be able to kind of aid in the resource to kind of encourage this conversation. In the afternoon, we'll have those breakout sessions. We have a lot of great speakers. Both Susie and myself have been on phone calls since November with organizations, and we're pretty excited about who we have coming. So it's going to be a great time to get a good amount of information and a great time for you guys to resource. Everyone we bring to Apple is not just exclusive to Apple. Most people we work with are willing to go anywhere to help out all types of organizations and programs. In the evening, we're going to have dinner, as should be expected. But the big thing is, because it is March Madness, we're going to have TVs everywhere, and we're going to hopefully be able to watch all the games that are taking place. So we're going to hopefully create a fun little environment where we can all socialize, watch some basketball, and enjoy each other's company. One of our keynotes that we're also excited, he is from UCLA. His name is Ross Sabo. He's going to be giving us tips for taking Apple back home, as well as giving his kind of his own thing. He's presented for us before. He does his presentation that's behind happy faces, right? Taking charge of your mental health. If you have an opportunity to look him up, he's great. He's going to be kind of bringing it home for us. One of the other things we're going to ask you guys to do on Sunday is there's going to be a post test, and that's going to be just to evaluate kind of your experiences and what you learned that weekend, right? So after you complete all that, it'll be through the app, and that'll be pretty much straightforward. Now, after taking it, after Apple taking it all back to your guys' campuses, right? This is a question. This is going to be what you can expect to do throughout the rest of the year. As Susie mentioned, we are going to be your guys' we're going to be on your team as well. We're going to be there to support you, coach you, and help you out through this. So we ask that you guys, explain this to your team, because there's going to be these expectations. Is for you guys to meet with your Apple team to implement the action plan you guys have created, right? This isn't just do it over the weekend and that's it. There is the expectation that you guys will do what you guys can to follow through and actually implement these things. In October of 2023 and March of 2024, this will be back on the team contacts. You guys will complete your Apple Post survey to kind of assess where you guys are right now, what barriers you guys have to overcome, things of that nature. As we mentioned, try to keep us informed as best you can if team contacts change, because we do know, life happens, people do move around, change jobs, or, things might just happen with your guys' Apple, with your guys' action plan as a whole, where things might have changed. So keep us updated. We'll do the best we can to help you out, get you whatever resources you need to kind of complete that. This is a fun bit. We're also going to share two things now, and then any of the schools that have returned, I believe there's a few, if they want to offer anything else at the end, we would love to hear from you guys. But advice from a previous team contact is you really do need to have your meetings before you come to Apple. They mentioned it's really important to review the purpose of what you expect. That way you're not spending the time at the Institute dealing with the confusion or overwhelmed team members, right? It'd be very easy, let your student athletes and whoever comes know that this isn't just a retreat, a conference where you don't do anything, you don't participate. We really expect participants to be engaged. There's a lot of great material, so just make sure that everyone knows what they're in for, and that it is a commitment that they are giving not only to the training institute, but their universities back home. Another is come with an open mind and listen to your student athletes. They are the cornerstones of success. If you let them honestly tell you what's truly happening and what their needs are. So they know what's going on. They're boots on the ground, more or less. So be willing to listen to them as the team contact and just have an open conversation and create an environment where they can communicate with you openly. This is the opportunity for those that have been to our Apple training in the past. Is there any other advice you would give new schools to increase or have to increase their success of their Apple experience, or anything you might want to, you can either put in the chat or unmute as it says, or anyone that cares to share.
Good afternoon. My name is Femi Lau from Roberts Wesleyan University. I'm going to talk briefly. I'm on boarding a flight, so if you hear the background noise, my apologies. But I think it's really important that you, again, in addition to setting the expectations, like have an expectation of how often they're going to meet. So the first year that we did the program, I created the program as an internship, and it held students accountable for actually meeting weekly and creating action plans. And so we had essentially like class time set up to say which slice of the pie we were going to focus on. And that allowed us to have a level of accountability. This year, I'm looking at it differently. I'm not sure if I'm going to be offering an internship credit. So I kind of struggled in the past when we did the virtual option, there was no internship or there was no academic credit. And so it was a little bit more challenging to hold students accountable. So think through what that looks like. You know, it's going to be a great weekend for everybody, but when you get back to campus, that's when the work actually starts. And that's when they really have to build community partners and have a plan. So I think it's very important to you got to hold their feet to the fire and say, hey, this is the plan and this is what you're accountable for. But I'm also interested to see what accountability looks like on your campuses.
Thanks for sharing.
I love that idea, Femi. Thank you for sharing that of the kind of internship credit, because I know a lot of folks have that flexibility. So that's a great idea to consider.
I would share, this is Judy Sackville from A&M Commerce, and we've been to it several times, but I think the first time was an epic fail, and I know why. And I think it's really important that you look at who you're taking with you, because if they don't have the impact coming back, and they may have great ideas, but they're not vested in really, and I'm talking more of the folks outside of the athletic department. When you're bringing them in, it's because you want them to be vested in whatever you're trying to do. And so be very, very careful on who that group is, because if they're not vested, they won't put the time in when you get back. So we pivoted, and the next year we brought in, we had our student athletes there, we had internal folks, but we had only one external person. But we really tried to partner, and this year we're taking a totally new approach to it. We want to use the concepts we're getting from this. And I'm not in athletics anymore, I'm in student affairs, but we're taking the concept of how does athletics and student affairs build this team to combat these problems across the whole campus. And I don't think we've done that before. We've done it with athletics. Fraternity Sorority Life has done it themselves, but we've never bridged that together. And so this year it's all about collaboration. So be mindful of who you bring. And I agree with the last person. It's the work will begin when you get back, and you're all excited, and then you stop working, and that'll be an epic fail. You got to keep it rolling.
Thanks, Judy. And I'll add to that, made me think that even though you have to have 2 student athletes, you could have non-athlete students be part of your team. We've had a lot of other schools who have had, maybe somebody who's involved with student council. And again, and especially if you're at a smaller school, that has been really successful as well, when there's less of especially if you've got 75% of your school as student athletes, how can you get other student engagement? So that's another way to expand that. And thanks also for sharing that, for a lot of schools, the first shared apple is not all you'd hoped it would be. And really it's that second year where you're like, now we know. So, so thanks for sharing that.
And let me just reiterate, it wasn't an epic fail on Apple. Apple was wonderful. It was an epic fail on our people that came back and didn't follow through.
Judy, I would say it was not an epic fail. So, but thank you for sharing that. I think that's that you are not alone in that experience of year 2 is a reboot. All right. Well, thanks everyone for sharing.
Can I echo just another piece as well? just in terms of that partnership, one thing that we did was looked at our strategic plan, like where are our weaknesses to see, okay, is it student affairs? Is it student life? What are those things? And I leveraged that relationship with our wellness center, and the return on investment, I could never imagine. They understand the student athlete experience. And sometimes it's like, if you have an open seat, you got to figure out, well, who's that weak link that we can bring along? And hopefully they will do the work when they come back. But I'm telling you, it's such a challenge when, you know, you take all these excited students, but you're the only one who's having to carry that weight and hold them accountable. That is a challenge. So make sure you definitely have a great team.
And before I think Tim, you had your hand.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. My name is Tim Kennedy. I'm with the University of Texas at Arlington. This will be our 5th Apple conference. Our students in the past have really enjoyed, but I'd like to share just some of my experiences. The first one was pretty much a learning. I found out about Apple. They had the conference was in Dallas, and so it was very low cost for us, and so we decided to give it a try and really enjoyed it, but there wasn't any follow-up on my part or on our team's part. And so and then 2 years later we went back to Apple, and I was really focused on, okay, let's really implement the plan. And so the first thing I did was I really emphasized to our student athletes the purpose of the Apple institution, why we are going. And then 2 is giving them ownership. I tried my best to step back and let the students take ownership of the plan and let them figure out what are the things that we need to do and how we're going to go about doing that. The third thing that we did that really helped when we came back after our, I think it was our second Apple conference, we shared with our AD and staff our plan. This is our plan. This is what we need from you to help us implement the plan. And one of the plans was to show the Hayes movie to all of our student athletes. And so our students were really excited about that. And the cool thing is, I mean, we did a lot of planning, but the cool thing is when we actually was able to implement that and show the movie to all the student athletes, the students just saw all the hard work that they put into it just made them really satisfied. The couple other things is when you go to the Apple Training Institution, there's so many incredible ideas, and it's so easy to come up with so many goals. Like, oh, we want to do these 5 goals, and that's what we kind of did our first meeting. And then what happens is it just makes it so challenging because you feel overwhelmed. And so one of the things that we really try to focus on is what is our primary goal? And we're going to really focus on this primary goal. We have some secondary goals. If we get those things accomplished, great, but what is our primary goal? And so that really helped us stay focused and not have so many goals where we weren't able to accomplish any of them.
Thank you, Brett. And then Katie?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Katie Schilling, Kent State University. I was trying to count my pictures in my office that we get each year. I think we're at like 10 or something. I don't even know how many times we've been, but we're excited to be back this year. But to echo what everyone else is saying, I think our biggest struggle was when we first started is same thing. You have all these goals, you hear all these amazing things other universities are doing. Student athletes will be like, we need to do that, we need to do this. But remember, you're probably going to be the one that's helping them with this, and they don't have time to do all of the stuff that they want to do. So like Judy said, it seems like an FAL sometimes. It's just when you don't know how much you can actually accomplish or it's put on your plate, you can't do everything. So what I tell our student athletes when we go, we're going to focus on one thing to add to a program and not try to build a whole program in 1 year, because building a whole program in 1 year, unless you have a staff of 10 people, it won't happen. So just when going into it, try to make sure you let your student athletes, it's okay to tell them to take a step back and be really realistic with what you're bringing back, because otherwise it won't work.
That's great. And I'll probably make sure I don't miss any hands real quick. Don't see it. All right, so before we get you guys out of here, we do want to just kind of throw those back up there. Due date, January 31st. We do have some time to do that, but again, it's for us to get over to the hotels, just so they can kind of reserve the rooms. One of the big things we do want you to know is once you do have this team, it does not mean your team is forever set and you can't change things. Things happen, people get sick, people get injured, people can't travel, whatever it might be. Just communicate with us. We have no problems with that. You know, if the week ahead of time someone gets COVID and is unable to travel, let us know. Yes, you can replace them. It is not the end all be all. Okay. Outside of that, for those of you, like we've had a bunch of great information shared with us today. We would love to hear from you guys, hint, hint, as possible presenters. And if you guys are interested in that, just shoot out an email to us at Apple and we'll kind of coordinate with you guys to get you guys into the program. We'd love to hear from you guys. So with that being said, is there going to be any other questions you guys might have for us?
So feel free to ask now. We did get a question about recording. So yes, this is being recorded. We will send it. So we'll probably send the slides. We will send a PDF of the slides. It takes a while for all this stuff to render and get posted, but hopefully by the end of the week, we will share the link to this recording. But feel free to unmute if you do have questions. You know, as many of us who teach, you know, tell our students, if you've got a question, probably many other people have the same question, but we'll also stay on after we stop the record button if you have any other questions at the end. And the cap for, there's another private question in. So the cap on participation, again, you have to have at least 4 and you can have up to 6 team members. 2 of those must be student athletes with eligibility through the next academic year, 2023-24, and at least 1 must be a full-time staff member. But if you want to bring 5 students, that's fabulous. You know, it all depends. If you are a brand new school, again, that was mentioned in the returning school advice, probably good to have another full-time staff member. So you're kind of sharing that load. But if you're returning, a lot of times having a lot of those students is great to build up the energy and get more student engagement later. All right, I'm not seeing anything in chat. Anthony, do you see anybody who's
No,
unmuted?
no questions on my end being sent to me, so I think we can go ahead and stop there. Like Susan mentioned, we'll stop the recordings, but we'll stay on afterwards. If anyone has anything they just want to comments, questions, concerns, we'll be around. But other than that,